Okay, so now we carry on the 4-6 profile, riding across the tension. They're always looking at the other, and because you're always looking at the other, they're all able to see whether or not in the group there's this fertility, whether there's this mutative potential or not. And there's a 4-6 that has deep, deep, deep influence as a potential, and there's this configuration. In other words, this is one of the ways in which a tribe can be influenced by individual. It's one of the ways in which a tribe which is resistant to mutation to the tribe can actually take on mutation. And it begins with the small communal groupings around the 4. Now, because the 4-6 is on the periphery, it gets to see that potential. The difficulty for 4-6 is that in paying attention to what's around them, they might not see their own sterility. They might not see their own lack of mutative potential and drive. So the dilemma again is what's going to happen to them in the early part of the process and what kind of background they're going to grow up in. So many of these crosses are deeply different depending on your class, your state with things in the life. This forms principle is something that can be explored in a very broad way if you're part of Western society. The form principle does not have that kind of depth in many societies. And of course, those societies become deeply resistant to this provocation. And then you get to the anti-form principle. It's one of the things to see about the 4-6 is that the 4-6 brings this potential of the deep mutation, the kind of people that got into deconditioning people that were taken over by gurus. They were going to be deconditioned them. And basically it's about demutating. In other words, it's about creating sterility. Now that's a key for you to understand that this aspect of the 39 is more powerful than its mutative provoking power on the positive side. That's why we're becoming sterile, all of us. That's why sterility is in the planetary program. It's very powerful and it's growing more powerful all the time. The vaccines are making us sterile. When you see fundamentalists and when you see retros, when you see any of these Atlanteans, these are all demutation people. And the whole thing about demutation people is that they are microcosmic projection, if you will, of what is a macrocosmic principle. If you don't push mutation, you get stagnation. Now you all say, wouldn't it be nice if it wasn't so and we could all be fertile and everybody gets provoked to mutation? People always say to me, well, what is this no choice? They say, I'm studying human design. Does that mean I don't have any choice? And I say, yes, no choice. If I don't wake up, does that mean I don't have a choice? Yes, no choice. The form principle is inherently hierarchical. Everything operates through fractals. The fact of the matter is that sterility is supposed to win. The program knows what the not self is. It programs it. It feeds off it. Oh yes, there's going to be those rare, rare, rare 39s that are capable of provoking enough mutation so there's a mutation. This fine balance in the 39 between the right mutative energy to produce rave children and the wrong mutative energy to kill off humans. And then you wonder why the male hears the female. This is archetypal. It goes deep into the soul. It's so deep in our mythology, and it's something to recognize. Transformation is never for everyone. Awakeness is never for anyone. It's not the way things work. It will never be the way things work, and we're never going to wake up enough people to stop the sterility. By then, again, if it weren't for the fact that we're going to become sterile, then we wouldn't expand our consciousness and intelligence enough to thump our nose at it. You say that we are sterile, well, we have transcended the form principle. I can make a human being in a cow. I don't need you. Not only that, but I can design it. I can create it exactly what I want in my image. This program is such a wonder. It has all these things. They're all woven together. So you have to see that there's a lot of sterility potential in the 39 in spiritual sense. It's the transformation sense because that's part of the energy. It's cutting down on the fertility of the human reproduction process, but also the human process. The program knows what killer monkeys are as a waste. They are halfway process. We're bridge, particularly us that we have been born since 1781. The nine centers belong to us. We're stuck in with them. We're seven-centered creatures. The last real humans were born before 1781. We're neither this nor that. We are the transition to rave. And because of the way mutation works, it's not that one immediately dies off and the other suddenly emerges. Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal lived together for about 200,000 years. It's not the first thing. It won't be the last time, but you have to understand the principle. There is sterility, which means you're going to see this in these beings. And what that means for them as a concretized level is that the 4-6 are going to be beings are very, very uncomfortable physically with their tension because the tension doesn't have a mutative outlet. If they're not provoking, then they're really in danger in the first second cycle or in the Kramarian side phase. They're really in danger of physical damage, disease, premature death, and all of the things that can be associated with the six-line process. Then we go to the juxtaposition cross of provocation. Well, 4-1, the juxtaposition. I don't even know what this. I don't even want to deal with this, but I will. That's why I just didn't deal with anything lately. And I just do all these sessions in one day today. The juxtaposition cross of provocation. Only provocation matters. Only cranking up the spirit matters. Only turning on the fire matters. Only setting them flaming matters. And the sad thing about it is that it serves no purpose. Right angle provocation always has a motive. Build. Remember something about juxtaposition, the nature of the fourth color. The fourth color has a problem that has something called transference, which means it's very difficult for us to stay fixed, which is why the fourth line is a movement, a transference field between the right angle and the left angle. One of the things about the 4-1 on this cross is that it provokes the provocation's sake. It's like the artist that does stuff with dead body parts. It's like provocation for provocation's sake. I suppose that the extreme one considered it because the very ratio of diversity or provocation is valuable and that one mutation that is brought along in the end can be of value, I suppose. However, I'm not here to be an apologist for the not self 4-1 on this cross. I'm really not. They're heavy. Because when you get provoked by the right people at the right angle, it's actually saying to you, I'm provoking you, but if you pay attention to this provocation, it's going to be better for you. In other words, there's some value directly attributable to the provocation itself. But the 4-1, no, it's like being provoked for the sake of being provoked. You never know. Maybe it's useful, maybe it isn't. What the hell knows? It doesn't matter. The underlying reality of the 4-1 is this is a very, very, very fixed force demonstrating that all life is mutative, period. That what is here for, and that we're here to make sure that we're all deeply aware of the mutative processes. It's so interesting to me that the 39 is where you have the anti-mutation, the anti-provocation, the polarity of fertility. There is this question about what is this value after all, of constant mutating of each mutation. In fact, doesn't really resolve anything, but simply opens up for another mutation and another mutation and another mutation. And one of the things that the 4-1 on this cross understand is that mutation in and of itself cannot be seen in isolation as the be all end of the road finished over gate. In other words, the motivation of the right angle is mutation that's going to bring you concretized result. And for the 4-1 mutation simply serves mutation. In other words, just keep on keeping on, just keep on provoking, keep on mutating. Sooner or later we're going to get to see what life really is. It just comes from changing. Period.